the underdogs. I'm an underdog. I've been through it all. I could never.
Like you were saying though about, you know, just how things work out. It's interesting to me because we obviously met at PAC in Miami, and the notes that I have in my iPad are what I created after I met you through J. Ross. Shout out to J. Ross, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, just putting things in motion, and if you are a believer of manifesting or speaking things into existence, like this opportunity, being able to have you on the platform, being able to create this, you know, interview for me was something that started there in Miami.
Oh, wow.
So,
I see that.
Literally the same exact notes that I heard you speak from your speech there, and then our conversation in the hallway, our conversation at dinner, all of those things are what I'm going off of today. Just my first impression from what you said. So I'm excited, man. So yeah, cool. I'll shoot the intro. What's good, you guys? Welcome to For the Underdogs podcast. I hope everyone out there is doing well. I'm in Los Angeles, California at the Therabody headquarters today. And I'm super excited because I feel like a lot of times in life, you know, we consume products, we buy products, all of those different things, but rarely do we get to meet the person behind the product. And that's what's so interesting to me today. Someone that I met within the last couple of months. I've also been a fan of the brand, but even better, the person behind the brand is exactly who he says he is. He's a founder, he's a creator, Chief Wellness Officer of Therabody, and that's Dr. Jason Wersland.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on the pod. I obviously want to thank everyone for making this happen today. Thank you for making it happen, allowing us to bring the podcast here. But I want to welcome you to For the Underdogs.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, true underdog, in my opinion, just given the things that you've been through. Something that stuck to me when I met you in Miami, and I don't even know if you remember saying this, but one of the first things you said on stage was like the metaphor between life and a stair stepper. And I'm curious to just hear more about that. It was something you briefly said, but it stuck with me because I think I get where you're coming from, but I would love to hear you talk about it.
I got to think what I was talking about when I said that. Was it when I got up with Chip?
Yeah.
Yeah, the hardest thing and the right thing is usually the same thing. And stair steppers, have you ever done those? They're not easy.
Yeah.
And you got to stay committed. You're not really going anywhere. What are you doing? You have to have faith in the outcome. And that's not easy.
Yeah,
a lot of times, you know, especially as an underdog, you know, especially as someone that doesn't have what one might think is the key to success, whether it's finances or relationships or whatever that is. I think that the biggest thing that stuck with me when I thought about that was just the challenge you have, you know, that you can't live life without that.
Yeah.
And so knowing that it's not always going to be that way, and just trusting in yourself. That's the hardest thing, I think, especially when you have so much going on around you. I just keep thinking of the word underdog.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not your time yet.
Yeah.
And that trusting that process, you know, and your journey, yours is different than mine.
For sure.
But the feeling that we're going for is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt that. I think one of the big things that stuck out to me is that synergy that we had when I did meet you, and the realness in the conversation, the vulnerability in the conversation, to me felt like it was something that you've worked on over the course of your life. I know I've had to work on that since retiring from the NFL. I was very hard edge, on edge. I was in this gladiator sport of always wanting to be on guard, mano y mano, obviously an offensive lineman. I'm super competitive by nature, but off the field, I was carrying that as well. And when I retired, I found that didn't serve me in life the same way, being a father, being a husband, all of these things that I am. I'm curious where that kind of came into your life, though. Obviously, in 2007, you go through this traumatic motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure within that, there was a lot of ups and downs. Have you always had the mindset of it's about the process, or was that something that kind of shook you into that mode?
It was definitely a wake-up call, for sure. It's crazy. Your tone and your energy is so soothing. It's like super cool, and I
appreciate it,
I
man.
find myself kind of getting emotional even thinking about some of this stuff. It was definitely a wake-up call, and I think up to that point, I had this attitude, like I just had to take my lumps, whatever that is, you know, like, okay, if that's what's next, then, you know, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what you get when you're in those spaces, having gone through, you know, I mean, I'd filed, we didn't talk about a lot of this stuff, but I'd filed bankruptcy. I'd been through divorce. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened up to that point. And I'd felt like I'd made a choice to really make a change. And then something, I mean, I guess you could say it was in my control, but something that was mostly out of my control, his car. And it was tough.
Yeah.
And I think I may have said this to you, but that was like I want to say the worst, but it was like the best time for that to happen, but the worst situation. Because I financially, where I was going, what I was doing, what I was trying to build, it just, for a moment, it just took that all away.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to be honest, I didn't know what was going to happen after that. You know, I didn't have a path forward. I just knew I had to get back to work and do what I could to fulfill my commitments. I had 2 kids. You know, there were a lot of these real things that were weighing on me. So I don't think that I went in, around that time, I wasn't like, oh, I'll get through this. It was like,
it was heavy.
Yeah, it was super heavy.
What did that feel like? I know these are your words. You said it was the worst moment of your life, but the beginning of your mission. And so to have that perspective, I've been in that situation where I felt like I was at the worst point in my life, but I didn't have the perspective of, okay, this is now my mission. So to have that at that point in time, I don't know if you did have it at that point in time, but tell me what that felt like.
You get me going here, Jamil.
Hey.
I can't start crying. I won't stop.
No, man, it's all good.
I haven't thought about this for a while.
You're about to make me cry. It's real. Because I feel like when you go through hurdles like that in life, to equate it to being the worst thing that could happen, but the start of your mission says a lot about deep down internally, like the traits that you have.
I hear you.
And I don't feel like I learned about the traits that I had, that I was equipped with, until I was in that moment of like looking in the mirror and not loving the person or not seeing the person that I wanted to be.
Man, amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I was actually just processing that. It's funny, you almost read my mind, because I was thinking, you know, I spent my 20s really drilling down on Tony Robbins' principles. And this idea that I was telling my daughter this the other day. Man, I gotta control myself here. He said at one point, I listened to the 90 Days to Success. It was every day I listened to it, and I was so committed to that. And in one of those tapes, literally, that's how I'm going to age myself. That's how old I was. I was listening to it, and there was a point where he said something that just so resonated with me, and it gave me so much like courage and strength. But he was like, man, I got to shake this off. I'm telling you, get me going. He said, you change 1% a day, it's 365% in a year. And that principle is a universal principle.
Yeah.
And there was, when that happened, there was something about my life to that point that I realized this is leading to something. This is, there's a reason, there's something to this. And so shifting my paradigm and looking at it from that perspective, like there's something about this, like this couldn't have happened the way it did and it not mean something, you know? So to answer your question, I didn't feel it then. It took a while.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, I had to go through dealing with the insurance and some other things that were around that whole accident and trying to have my own practice and having 2 kids that were in a different state. And all of a sudden I was trying to juggle all these things. And I just, every day I woke up and I thought, just change 1% today. Just fix 1% of my life. Just do 1% different and then add on to that tomorrow. And if I could, I was telling my daughter this the other day. I said, if nothing else, she's kind of building a business. And I said, if nothing else, you change yourself. Yeah. The universe, I think that the universe, God, whoever it is, takes a breath. It's like and those moments for me, I realize is the universe saying, okay, I'm going to give you a second. It's off season. Get in the best condition you can because we got some really amazing things coming and I need you to be at the top of your game. Those were some of the feelings I was getting throughout that experience. It was like little things would happen. All of a sudden a patient shows up or I meet a person or I work with an athlete or, you know, back in the day I found myself, and it wasn't like I tried, but I was like this concierge Cairo to all these celebrities that I had personal relationships with, you know, and I started recognizing like, I got to hold myself to a little bit higher standard, you know, like, yeah, this happened to me, but I don't want to be in this poor pity me thing. Like God, the universe, the law of attraction doesn't like that. Yeah. Absolutely. And so just getting out of that mode where it's like, why me? Well, wait a second. Yeah. And as cheesy as it is, I just have to sit down and count your blessings. Absolutely. You know, like be appreciative of those things. I have 2 healthy, happy children. Man. Period. Full stop. Man. You know, like if anything else like is a bonus. 100%. So as those things started to build, the law of the universe is you start to gain strength. Yeah. And I tell my kids this all the time. Build strength in ways no one can take it away from you. Internally. It's education. It's relationships. Yeah. It's wisdom. It's fitness. That has a lot to do with that. Staying in shape and exercising your mind. So those are the principles I started implementing after that accident. I mean, it was like I was stuck a minute, you know, like I didn't have a car. Like I was going to get just the little things were happening, but it was the universe started paying back my investments in that.
That's a good way to look at it. I think when you have that victim mentality, and I've always called it a victim mentality because that's what I was kind of taught when I was in college from my college and my college football coach. When you have that victim mentality, things happen to you as if you are the victim. Yeah. Instead of, you know, you speaking positivity over your life, you going after things, you connecting with people. I think something that I realized was when I was in my hardest time post-career, I didn't feel comfortable walking into a room, shaking a hand, looking someone in their eye,
Really?
and introducing myself, because internally I hadn't built that muscle,
Yeah.
you know? And so now I'm at a point where I can walk in a room, introduce myself. Physical fitness is big. We were talking about that before you came in. Like, if I'm working for something, I feel that I'm accomplishing, my goal or whatever I'm working to. That's been something that has been instilled in me since day one. So I have to keep doing it. So it's just crazy that you say the same thing. The things that people can't take away from you often outweigh, we don't think about it that way, but it outweighs everything in the long run, because it gives you that fulfillment, if you were to say.
Do hard things.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying, when you're building something, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And I've started to associate, back then it started to happen, is I started recognizing like, wow, this is going to give me an opportunity to overcome. And the accident, I couldn't get my license for a while, trying to build a practice. I started changing my paradigm with a lot of those things and just realizing like, oh, here's a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's gonna pay back somehow.
Yeah.
When I invest in that and I go at it with the right attitude, this doing hard things is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you're, and I assume when you're an athlete, like going through the stages that you go through in junior high and high school, like it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think as humans, I think sometimes it comes from the way we're taught, whether it's Christianity or whatever the religion is, that at some point God's going to love you so much you're not going to have any more problems.
Yeah.
And that's not how it is.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
100%.
And over my life, I realized that. So I think implementing the rules that I learned from Tony Robbins in my 20s, I really was put to the test when the accident happened. And another thing I started realizing is to serve others. That that there's something that comes intangible from helping other people. And it's not, you're not doing it for that purpose.
Yeah.
But there's something about that is like this, I'm sure that in this today's age, there's probably some really cool explanations about what's happening there metaphysically.
Yeah, it's energy. It's you're exchanging energy in that form, and that comes back to you.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And it
does
good.
as a parent.
Yeah.
Like you think about just going back to just being a parent.
Yeah.
That people, I have 2 older kids and people are like, man, how is it having older kids? I'm like, honestly, the blessings get bigger.
Yeah.
They're
100%.
not winning a little league soccer game. They're opening a business and having a successful month or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they just get bigger. So the getting through those stages, there was a moment where I started realizing that what I was doing was bigger than me. And it was almost like this recognition, like the universe sort of zapped me and was
That's
like,
purpose.
hey, you're, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your purpose.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did I not see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then surrendering to whatever that is,
Yeah.
Yeah, that it built, like I think it, just to give context, from the date of the accident until people knew about Theragun, it was 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
like a child.
Yeah. 100%. What's crazy is it was 8 years when I think the Theragun actually went live, right?
Yep.
And you spoke on how when you met your therapist, he gave you an exercise about building a wall that took 8 weeks.
Wow.
And so
Never
I don't
thought
know
about that.
Yeah, I gave it some thought. It's crazy because like the number 7 for me has been prevalent in my life. My brother passed when I was in high school. He wore the number 77. I played 7 years in the NFL. I wore the number 75 or 77 in college, 74. Like, it's always been prevalent in my life. I'm wondering if that number 8 has been something that you've noticed has been
Now that you say that, I am thinking about, like, one of my closest friends, Apollo Ono, has 8 medals. I remember he and I were sitting, we pulled up out of this garage in downtown, and the address there was 888. So I don't have to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is something there, but and you don't do those things on purpose.
100%.
Right? They just kind of show up.
Yeah. But everyone doesn't notice it though,
Right.
Like, it takes being present in order to notice that, hey, this thing is popping up in my life over and over. Like, you took that situation of you being in an accident, you being at the lowest point, to now say, okay, this is a calling. This is where I find my purpose. I feel like there's times where people don't notice it. And I don't want to say it's a shame, but it is, it's sad because I've been in that situation as well, where I haven't noticed that this is the time to do something,
Yeah.
And I would never let that kind of come into my life again.
You kind of have to let it cook, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. It's a process. Like, you could have someone sitting here guiding you through your life, having been through something similar in their life, but it has to resonate. Like, you have to feel it. And sometimes for me, I don't want to speak for other people, but sometimes for me, like, I had to bang my head against the wall. I had to slam my finger in the door a few times to realize that's not how you do that.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of that. I think you and I were talking about this when we were together before, but there's this tempering of your soul and spirit that has to happen. I said this too at the time, but I wouldn't have the opportunities or the platform really had I not been tempered.
For sure.
I wouldn't be able to handle some of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my time was my time. And I was with my son last night. He had a real bad issue with health issue, was his eye, and trying to deal with something. And just kind of being with him and having him understand, like, this is your thing. Like, I didn't have to worry about contacts and eye stuff, but this is your thing. What is this helping you with? What are you learning from that? And that's a hard thing to understand sometimes when we're in a world full of all these people that have all these opportunities or whatever. And you kind of, back to your saying, like, the victim mentality.
Yeah.
I was super proud of him to start saying some of the things that I taught him over his life.
That's a good feeling right there. When you hear your kids repeat something that you've instilled in them, because you've learned it the hard way. And so, you've learned it the hard way, but you've been able to spit it back to them in a way that they can use it as a skill, which is satisfying because now they can, it can serve them well within the world. You said being 1% better, 365 days out of the year. What is, like, I read a little bit about your morning routine and how you do the Wim Hof method, and you listen to a certain frequency and things like that. What does that 1% look like for you every day? For me, I feel like I have to at times make a decision to be who I say I am every day. There's times where it can get monotonous or you can get bored with your routine, but you know that it's setting you up to be the best person you could be. What does it look like for you every day?
Well, I have to have a golden hour kind of in the morning where I really just focus on what's my day like, what do I want it to look like, what do I want it to be. I have a mantra that I did it this morning. I have just sort of this thing that today's a good day. Mm-hmm. Today something good will happen to me. Today I'll make someone smile and someone will make me smile. Yeah. And if I stop there, then I'm fine. So for personally, I want to do something hard in the morning to raise my level of performance. And I think the interesting thing about that is it's not easy to do that all the time.
100%.
It's Friday and promise you'd meet a guy at the gym and you're just like, I don't want to do this, you know?
Yeah.
So when you ask me what it is, it's a couple of things. It's different now at my age where I am in what I'm doing than it was, you know, say even 10 years ago. So I'll speak to what it is now. Now it's like, I want to control the things I can control. And those are doing hard things in the morning, making sure that I'm providing my body with breath work to sort of connect spiritually with myself and really ground myself. And then everything after that is like, I have to understand, like, do I hit the gas or do I kind of let off? Do I push through? I try not to take too much of what happens throughout the rest of the day that I don't have control over. I try not to take that too personally. You know, you said about a gladiator and a warrior. I felt like for a while that's what it took from me in life. Like just bulldozing my way through things and just making it happen. And I realized that that's not the way it is. It takes some time. The universe needs to cook a little, you know, like there's some things that have to happen. So I'm always looking for that 1%.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to find, like, what is that I could implement? Ooh, I like that. Can I implement that in my, just recently, I needed a change up with my morning routine. And there's a place down by where I live that I have such a history with. I know the guys there. There's a lot of, have you ever heard of The Yard in Hermosa?
Yeah.
So Troll is my buddy and I've known him for years.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 minutes from my house. So I changed up my routine, and man, I felt it literally lifted me.
Yeah.
My shoulders are up.
Yeah.
I was excited because I found something, and it didn't necessarily affect my wife or my income or anything like that. It just gave me that, like, that
change up that you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the drive to work was, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever that is. So I know it's adding those little principles that I learned in my 20s. There's no time. There really is no time to sit around.
Yeah.
There's time for recovery.
Yeah.
Right? Like those things that I preach, but my morning time, I need that.
Yeah.
To be able to show up the rest of the day.
I love that. We talk about doing hard things. The term that it's called is eustress, and it's when you choose to put your body under stress or your mind under stress instead of, obviously the opposite is distress, when, you know,
wow, I like that.
Yeah, things are, you know, out of your control. But the term eustress is something that I really leaned into post-career because likewise, I needed something in my morning routine. I started cold plunging. Cold plunging for me was a way for me to alleviate anxiety, because I felt like when I get in the cold water, the anxiety is telling me I need to get out. And so in order for me to control that anxiety, I'm saying, no, I'm staying in here for the 3 minutes. And now I have put myself back in control by choosing to do the eustress, you know?
Dude, I cold plunge. I did it this morning, and the other few days ago, it was super hot. And I'd worked out, I'd come home, I had some calls, I hadn't jumped in the shower yet, and I was just like, I'm just going to do a quick plunge, just get in and get out.
Yeah.
Dude, I got in and got out, and I was like, that is so cold.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So I got back in for the 3 minutes because I needed to get through that.
Yeah.
So I 100% understand what you're saying.
Yeah, we don't realize, like, that little voice that's telling us to get out the water, or if you're in the sauna, I enjoy, like, putting my body under these situations.
Eustress, I like that.
Yeah, eustress. But we don't realize that voice is actually the voice that comes to us when we're unsure about something, or we're anxious, or we're depressed about something. That is that same voice. So doing little things like that is something that helps you kind of control that, in my opinion. It's helped me.
Yeah. There's something that we talked about, my truth card that we talked about.
Yeah.
Part of that for me is to combat those voices. I think people that have higher callings really have a challenge with the voices. You know, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those are from the day before.
Yeah.
The same thoughts you thought the day before, especially if you're routine. You know, what am I going to eat? You don't really think about those things. So, and another thing that's real that I was getting to about that is a good percentage of those, 80 to 90% of those, if they're outside your normal routine, they're lies. And to understand that the voice in your mind is probably telling you a lie when you're in a stressful situation, you're not grounded. So I feel like the key for me is watching those voices just kind of go by and not internalizing those. And I've been in places in my life where I've internalized those.
I'm curious, what voice is it? Do you know the person that it is, or are you able to pinpoint it? Because I feel like I can.
Yeah, for me, it's like not mine. I've gotten to a point now where I realize, like, that was cute.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why would you even say that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've realized, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's all the therapy I've gone to and the things I've been through, but I've been able to, like, just set that aside. Like, I'll be super real with you.
Yeah.
The meeting I just came out of was one of the most challenging meetings I've ever had. And to be able to sit there and process that and not let those voices come, because, dude, they came. Like, what if this and what about that? And I, in my past, I would have pulled the fire alarm, you know, put my suit on, Iron Man suit, and gone out and really tried to. But I've realized those voices aren't real, and I've got to give that experience or moment time to breathe, and exercising, being with someone I love, like something that really resonates with who I am, me.
That
We talked about
feeds you.
the I am.
Yeah.
So the voices are real.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have them.
Yeah.
And I'll share with my daughter. I'm teaching her right now to understand that they're not real and they're not hers. And the stronger those voices are, I believe it's relative to your shine.
Yes.
It's relative to your
potential
impact.
Yeah.
And relative to your potential. And I've realized that those voices are really, really powerful when you're just about breaking through something.
100%.
And it's like, of course you come right now.
Yeah.
Of course you show up like that.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to be this thing that's going to trip me. But no, you're not. You know?
Yeah.
And I've been through enough of that I can look her in the eyes and tell her, like, it's not the end.
Wow.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And as hard as that feels, there's something on the other side.
Yeah.
I use this analogy in company meetings that there's resistance in life. You know, I think someone talks about insistence breeds resistance. And you think about what you and I were just talking about, like really pushing through things.
Yes.
Insisting on something.
Yeah.
Like, I want that house, or I want that car, or I want that job, and you just push through. It's almost like you're creating this resistance at you.
For sure.
But I've realized that the resistance is like a slingshot. And I used to say birth, but I haven't given birth, so I don't use that analogy.
Yeah, that's tough.
But it's like a slingshot.
Yeah.
So if I pull it back a little bit, what am I going to get out of that?
Right.
But if I yank that sucker back and I really put that on there, it's hard. If you've ever shot a bow, it's kind of the same thing.
For sure.
You really got to get it back to get what you need out of it. And so I've really been able to look at that and be like, oh, cool. Thank you. Good sign. You know, Tony Robbins used to say, get excited when you're having challenges, because that means something powerful is around the corner.
Yeah.
And I learned that so many years ago.
Yeah.
You still have to do it.
Yeah.
Still got to block and tackle. Like, it's not like you don't have to stop doing that.
Right.
So for me, those are the really powerful things that I've realized. If the voices are chattering, if there's really resistance somewhere, something's about to happen. And it has to look bleak. That part of the recipe is it has to look scary.
Yeah.
You have to have faith.
Yeah.
You have to have It's meant to be that way. And you're meant to be stretched to get what's on the other side of that.
That's what it's supposed to feel like.
And I for me, my point in that is I've created an association with that where I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Acceptance.
And I observe it because it's really not about me. It's about the plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. One of the best metaphors I've heard in terms of thoughts and voices is you're in a train station and there's trains running all day, but you see these trains running, but you get to decide which train stops and which one you actually get to go on.
I love that.
Yeah, and that was Darren Treasure, who's a sports psychologist I worked with while I was in the NFL, was someone who told me that, because I also dealt with thoughts and voices that didn't serve me, considering where I was trying to go. And when he said that metaphor, it really kind of put things into perspective of like, I'm in control and I get to decide which ones stop and which ones I acknowledge. You know, you obviously observe them all going by, but which ones serve me in order to get me where I want to go. So I think I
love that.
Yeah, I think that's something
my therapist talked about them as clouds.
Yeah.
But I like that train stop thing.
What's the clouds?
They just cruise by. You know? You can choose which one you like.
Yeah.
But they're not yours. They're just kind of cruising by.
Yeah, no, that's a good impression. You said something at a pack about our lives being a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm curious I saw this question pop up and I thought it'd be great to ask you, but I'm curious if, your life's a movie and the audience is watching you, what would they be telling you to do next?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I told my son this a long time ago. I said, it's like a movie. He's such a wise kid. And he would see situations in my life where I wasn't looking at it that way. I was in it. And I was absorbing it all. And he would say, Dad, it's your movie. Like, of course that guy is going to do that thing. So I believe, when I think about it, that the people in the audience have the perspective of the whole movie.
Yeah.
They saw what was going on. They saw this person come in my life and out of my life, or this thing or this opportunity. And I just passed it because I was being the character.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the perspective that they do, or the producer or director. So I've been able to step back and be like, hey, hang on a second. Like, what were the things that got me to this point? This person came out of nowhere and I've messed up. I've brought people and let them in my life that were the bad guy in the movie.
Yeah.
And sometimes the bad guy wins that scene.
Yeah.
But not the movie. And I think about that a lot. When I drive home, sometimes I'll think about, like, who's in my life right now? What's happening? What's going on? What's happening in my movie? What are things I'm not seeing? So that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah.
And I'm reminded in a good way by my kids. They'll remind me.
It seems like your kids remind you a lot of the things that you've learned on the way, but sometimes forget in the midst of what you're going through.
Because I get into warrior mode.
Yeah.
My shaman would help me a little bit get out of, you're stuck in warrior mode. That's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
You got to step back and be royal.
Yeah.
You got to be the king. Like, change your perspective on that. And that's also something I think that I struggle with, have struggled with, is like, what does that mean to be a king? Because it's not a warrior. Can I be a warrior king? I am kind of that. And being okay with those types of things. But honestly, the movie thing is I've recognized, like, hang on a second, that's not what the roll calls for right now.
Yeah.
Like, but also being aware of really cool opportunities that I may have passed had I not had the perspective of, like, wait a minute, what is this really doing? There's been so many opportunities that have come along with Therabody that I could use as examples where the wrong person came in. I gave it too much credence or like awareness or whatever, and it set me back.
Yeah.
But then I have also had the perspective of like other opportunities that raised us to the next level. But the movie thing is definitely something that I think about almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
For a minute or two.
That's interesting.
If not longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in my meditations.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just sit there and breathe and be like, who are the characters in my life? Where's the stress coming from? Where's the peace? Who is it that what do I need to do with this? And then sometimes I turn it over to the universe. Like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Can you just like let me know? Or like, I see it in your eyes, you kind of recognize that we all have kind of the same thing.
100%. I go through the same thing. I always do like I don't even know if we want to call it a scan or whatever term you want to coin it. But I always look at things from a bigger perspective, like a bird's eye view. Okay, if I'm looking at the things that serve me, where is it? Like, am I creating stress that doesn't need to be there?
Totally.
I always go through that because I feel like if you don't do it, at some point, the universe or God or whatever you believe in is going to do it for you. And all that timing is the timing. Whenever it happens, it happens. But
that's so powerful, that what you just said, by the way.
100%.
The timing is the timing.
Yeah, the timing is the timing. But if you just go through life and you don't evaluate or, kind of look at who's around you and what's going on, then you can't really prepare yourself for certain things. So, and that's been something that's been added to my life since retiring and just, dealing with people more and chasing something with this podcast. Like it's been more prevalent as I've gotten further along in it and I'm, around more people.
Yeah.
So, it's been great. You talk about Therabody. I think I asked you this at dinner, but we got interrupted and I didn't get my answer. So I want to ask you, what is it like leading a powerhouse like Therabody in the wellness space? There's competition when it comes to, the wellness space. Everyone's about it now. I think something that intrigued me about you is you give off what Therabody is. It's to help people. It's, the wellness piece. You have a practice that you do as far as your meditation, things like that. But also, walking in this building, it was quiet. You could hear yourself think. The people in here are great. I'm curious how you go about setting that tone in the building, given the competitive nature of leading a brand, but also understanding that it is a wellness brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you were asking that, I was thinking of something. I need to be noble for me, not for anyone else. And we talked about my kids a lot, but living through example is so much more powerful than words.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I stressed in the early days, we're going to have challenges. People are going to knock us off. They're going to talk us down or whatever they're going to do. But the truth about us as a brand won't change. And so I think that's probably what you're feeling, what you get is when I realized that this was bigger than I was and that my job was just to keep moving forward and being a conduit and being noble, nothing really can get me anymore, And I'll be real. I talked about my truth card and the I am.
Yeah.
That any defeat, any rumors, those things, loss can come and go. But if I know who I am and what I'm doing, it just sort of shakes the trees a little, but nothing more than that. So I hope what you're seeing when you come in and recognize and feel our brand is that it's not a confidence, because it's a little different than that, because you're sometimes not confident, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're sometimes have to be like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
But I think when in the face of challenge, it's so important to be noble. And I hope that that's what people see in our brand. If we're stacked up next to whatever, name the brand out there in the wellness space, that if you're in this space, you have the ability to recognize the difference between what brands are doing. And I've always had this really strong belief that if you peel back the curtain and you look at what's going on at Therabody, we want people's lives to be better. And if you go into our innovation room, if you look at some of the products we're designing, I took some stuff with me to Miami with some receivers. I want to see what's it doing for you? Is it working? I don't care what color it is or how much it costs.
Does it work?
That. Does it work? Does it really do what I'm saying it does? I'll share something kind of cool with you. Our body has these pathways for information. You know, our eyes are so important, our ears and all that. But if you're hot, to understand that your body is doing its best to maintain cool and calm, that's exerting energy. So these guys, and you'll get the metaphor, I think, but these guys are out on the field, and it's Miami. It's, you know, 95 degrees. It feels like 100. And it's a water break like every 10 minutes or something. You know, they're running a lot, routes and stuff. We had a couple of products there that they'd never seen before. And I knew the science behind what it does. Have you ever watched a boxing match when the guy comes in the corner and they shove that pack of ice on the back of their neck? How many times have we seen that? Right? Like,
for sure.
The reason they're doing that is it cools the body. It slows the heart rate. I was working with a Chase Bengals receiver, and he came over and he was dripping. And I didn't say anything to him. I just grabbed this thing and stuck this. We have this thing called the cube. It gets really cold. And I stuck it on the back of his neck, and he was like, "Oh my God, dude!" And I just stood there and talked to him for a minute, and he's like, "I can feel that in my whole body." Wow! I had him put a couple of them on his palms. That's the kind of thing that I feel like we have that maybe other brands aren't so focused on. Is I'm going to show you a way to regulate your nervous system so that you know what to do. Those guys could overheat. I mean, I say those guys, you athletes, 100%. You could overheat because it's mind over matter in so much of what you do. Like this helm, I can't, but you're just focused on the goal. If I can give you the little things along the way, they're going to help you get to that place in a better state. Your nervous system is not fried. That's our goal. So I would hope that another wellness brand that's there wouldn't do those same things. I shouldn't say hope. I know they don't. Because I'm there because I want to get the outcome and validate what I'm thinking it does and take that to the masses. That's my responsibility. That's how I look at that. And I think people at Therabody also take that on. Like, wait a second, we got to make sure this works. Is there science? Have we had a study? Can I go to these guys? They'd never seen that before.
I've never heard of it.
I didn't have time to hit Chase on one of the breaks. He just reached in the thing, grabbed a bunch of ice and stuck it on the back of his neck. And as he's standing there, I said, "Have you ever done that before?" He's like, "No, but that's so amazing." Those are the things I hope people find in our brand. These little nuggets, like, what do they call them in video games? Like a not a mine, like a gold chip or a coin or something.
Like a coin,
oh my God, that makes so much sense.
For sure.
So that started way back when I had Theragun. Like, I would do the same thing at Unbreakable Performance with a bunch of Seattle Seahawks. You know, they're gassed just doing box jumps or clean jerks or whatever they're doing. And I'll go over and hit them with a gun, and they're just like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know that." What? And that's kind of who our brand is. Like, we're going to show up in a way, change your state, and then teach you how to do that.
I love that.
And that's the responsibility I think we all take on very seriously, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that. And like I said earlier, the part that attracted me to you the most is you are who you say you are, and you stand for, what you stand for. You've implemented all of these things that you've learned about your life into your brand. And I can appreciate that just man to man, obviously. And when we met, there was this synergy that I felt was undeniable.
Yeah,
so
likewise.
I appreciate that. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to bring the podcast here to your space. This has been something that we've talked about for months, and I'm happy that it's happened. So I want to thank everybody in the room for, obviously playing a huge role in this, but grateful to have you on For the Underdogs. You, in my eyes, like I said, you're a true underdog, and I wanted to bring the story about you to life because I feel like the person behind the brand is what makes it special. So I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, thank you. I will tell you this. I learned over time that I need you. I need voices like you to share that with your audience, because that's ultimately what I think people are looking for is like, what is this all about? Why this costs so much? Whatever those questions are.
Yeah.
I've needed other voices along the way, and I really appreciate you seeing that and giving me the opportunity. And I felt the same way with you when we met. I was
Absolutely.
like, who is this guy?
Yeah, no, for sure.
I feel like I've known him before.
Nah, it felt like that.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling to have, though. That means it was the alignment was there.
And Jay, shout out again.
Shout out to Jay Ross, man, because this wouldn't have happened without him.
Yeah,
so.
he's kind of like the matchmaker.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
All right, my man. I appreciate you. Thank you,
brother.
All right.